How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And is that Lonnie Liston Smith?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wonderful.
This is
DJ Gloss from Sound Fusion Radio in London.
Okay, Golf. How you spell your name?
It's Gloss, Gloss.
Gloss. Ah, now I got it. Gloss.
Yeah,
DJ Gloss.
That's right. Well, Lonnie, you spoke to DJ Doug Chant from our station previously. I don't know if you remember.
Okay. Did I do a long distance?
You did, yeah, you did, and you did a wonderful interview with Doug, and he was very, very grateful for it.
Oh, yeah, right. I remember that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. That's absolutely great. So, whereabouts are you in the world at the moment, then, Lonnie?
Well, I'm in Virginia because I started touring in June and July, and probably it just because we got all the summer festivals and everything.
Absolutely, yeah, because, you're coming to the UK, aren't you? You're at the Jazz Cafe on the 28th.
Right.
And we're really looking forward to seeing you there at the Jazz Cafe. Sound Fusion Radio will be in the audience watching.
All right.
And very much looking forward to that. And I wondered if the first part of the interview we could spend a little time talking about the gigs coming up for the summer, if that's okay.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah, because I'm pretty sure I don't have the itinerary in front of me, but.
Well, I was just going to ask you because I've got the dates of the UK gigs here, and like I said, the Jazz Cafe's on the 28th of June,
right?
And I wondered, what your sort of lineup was and what your intentions are for the gig, if you don't mind sharing some of that information with us.
Oh yeah, well, of course, we're always going to do. Expansions and it's as many things as give people a chance and we always try to do because of the people like that, and of course you got to play expansions. That's
absolutely, yeah.
That goes without saying. So that started everything worldwide.
Absolutely.
So I always just try to because I'm very serious about the music, and it's just like I wrote "Give Peace a Chance" years ago, but look what, because of all the conflicts, but look what's happening right now, and it's I mean that they still need to listen to "Give Peace a Chance." They
do indeed, and the message is planet wide. People need to listen to that kind of thing, Lonnie. I fully agree.
Right.
Peace is something that for something that seems so easy to do. It's so far away from people, it's unbelievable. And at least in music,
isn't that something?
We can find some, yeah. And commonality between people is found in music. People that can't stand next to each other can enjoy the same music. It's,
Because that's an excellent point. I mean, because that's what blew my mind years ago. When you grow up and you study music, everybody say music is a universal language. But when you in another country and you playing with musicians and y'all can't speak because you don't speak the same language, but once the music starts, everybody understands.
Absolutely, and you can get silence in a room where people would be arguing because of music. You can get people all joining together in a feeling of great joy for the music, and that for me speaks volumes.
That's it, Klaus. You're absolutely right.
That's absolutely wonderful. And so for the UK tour, are you bringing your musicians with you, or are you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would always bring musicians from America. Although at one time I did have a super expansion band that was based in London, and it was nice. It was nice, but I always try to bring the musicians from America. But the overhead kills you though. The airfare, and it's really amazing.
Wonderful. So who you got playing where? Who's on bass? Who's on drums? Who can we expect to see?
Oh well, I got Tabitha. She's Tabitha Pierce. She's on vocals, and Samir Moulet's on guitar. Just for this tour in June, I have the Granger brothers because I've used them before.
Wonderful.
Gary's on bass and Greg's on drums. Actually, I've used them before, and then when I brought Greg on drums to the UK a few years back, all of a sudden Acoustic Alchemy, hired him. But
Yeah.
so for this tour, we're just doing 4 days. Then we coming back in July, and I will have Lee and another, but. Sometimes you have to switch because sometimes people be really busy.
Yes, yeah, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're coming back in July for the Band on the Wall gig in Manchester, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's going to be another big one. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well we'll definitely we're gonna be smoking.
Sounds good to me. Wonderful. Well, I mean, the Jazz Cafe is such a great venue for that. There's been a lot of people on that stage, and yourself, and so many other jazz and funk greats.
That's it.
Unbelievable, and the place kind of has an aura of its own as well, which is lovely too. And it's nice to come and see people like yourself in that personal environment. You feel like you're part of the act as opposed to being just a member of the audience in somewhere like the Jazz Cafe. Wouldn't you agree, Lonnie?
Hey, Cross, the Jazz Cafe, because they actually, so I told them, I said, that's one of my favorite venues. I know this sounds crazy, but, I used to do the Jazz Cafe all the time, sometimes a week at a time. But one night, you're so busy looking out. And so one night I looked up, and I didn't realize, the people were in the balcony, but they're almost on stage.
That's right.
And I said, well, I'll be done. So I started waving, but I had to laugh at myself. I said, now, this is really, they are right there on top of you.
Absolutely. Being right on the edge of the stage, it almost sort of, it's a...
that's it. You can't get no closer.
Well, it's a rare thing at concerts nowadays because quite often they have security barriers. You're 4 or 5 meters back. It's just nice to go somewhere like the Jazz Cafe where it's up close, personal. There aren't too many people, but there are plenty of people, if you know what I mean. And
yeah, you're right. And I've been doing it for years, and never no problems.
Absolutely. Well, because you see, it invites and encourages people who are lovers of the music. They're going there to see Lonnie Liston Smith. And,
okay.
That's what they're going there for, and that means that their interest in the music is way above their interest in anything else.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And again, that creates the piece that we talked about earlier, Lonnie, in the audience. That's the thing. These are jazz and funk connoisseurs, if you like.
Right. Oh yeah.
And absolutely loving what you do. I mean, even now, our weekenders, soul weekenders, and jazz funk weekenders, expansions has to be played.
Okay, so y'all have the jazz and funk. It's a festival or just DJs or?
Well, what we tend to have are what we call weekenders, which are multi-roomed, sort of a whole hotel sort of signed over to a number of rooms playing soul and jazz and house music, and and people stay all weekend, and the music starts about midday and finishes about 3 o'clock in the morning, and yeah.
All right.
And, we have rooms where we play specific genres of music. Like you have a 3-hour jazz session in which, they play a huge amount of sort of jazz and jazz funk tunes. And that's where you get your serious dancers, Lonnie, and expansions has to be played.
Klaus, I know people in the UK have heard the story a million times, but I always tell them that's what blew me away when the expansions first came out, and I came to London, my first time, and it blew me away. Back then, they had things like kids, I guess 14, 15, 16, could go to clubs, and they were dancing to expansions. I mean, really dancing. I said, well, I'll be darned. And then, that was really amazing.
Well, they still do, Lonnie, and just to to let you know, I mean, rarely a week goes by on my breakfast show where I don't play Expansions. I mean, Expansions is still a very sought after, very well loved, and extremely accepted tune in this genre. It's an anthem. It's a must. You wouldn't want to be a DJ turning up at one of those gigs without Expansions, Lonnie, that's for sure.
Okay. All right.
So that kind of puts it into perspective for you anyway. So
right.
So we're seriously looking forward to you coming over and joining us, for this gig, and to see Lonnie Liston Smith for many people is something that they have always wanted to do, or they've done several times before, and just want to come back and see you again and again and again.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I mean, shoot. I mean, the UK. I mean, in London, man. They are amazing.
Well, you've spanned, what is it, 4 decades now, Lonnie, in music. I mean, that's a huge amount of time, and when an act and an artist stands that kind of test of time, there's something amazing. I mean, you look at your discography. I mean, it's immense. I mean, you must be very, very proud, Lonnie.
Oh yeah, oh man. I mean, it really, Groff. I really, I don't want to get too serious, but like people, don't realize, man, music is really important, and I don't want to disrespect the music, because I play with Miles Davis and Art Blakely. I mean, I met Duke Ellington and Thelonious Monk. I mean, these people were great artists, so I really don't want to disrespect the music or any of that.
No. Well, I mean, you don't disrespect any of it, Lonnie. If anything, you enhance it and bring it forward. I mean,
that's it. That's what I want to do.
I mean, musically in the 70s, you were doing things with jazz music that was 15 years ahead of its time. That's the Lonnie Liston Smith that we all know.
Okay.
And we love the sort of that jazz funk, jazz fusion feel that you were a major part of creating that sound. And I mean, how do you feel about that when people say that sort of thing to you?
Yeah, like you said. Well, at least I'm glad you said about that. Because being a pioneer is a little difficult, because a lot of times you might not get it when you're supposed to, the accolades when you're supposed to get it. But that's what I'm saying. When I first came over and I did Expansions, and the people listened to the Expansions, and then all of a sudden they say, well, people over there said, y'all say, well, Lonnie Liston Smith, you're the godfather of jazz fusion funk. I said, okay. And because that's what I was trying to do with Expansions. I wanted to, that's the first time I wrote lyrics. So I wanted some meaningful, positive lyrics, and with the funk, but also combine the jazz, which is improvisation. So I just put all 3 of them together, and and it worked.
It certainly did work indeed. Yeah, it certainly did. Could we go back in time a little bit, because there's quite a lot written about the sort of latter part of your career, but very little that I can see about how you came to music, about what in your childhood brought you to the music that you became to be such a major part of.
Well, my father was big into gospel music, because he was a part of the Harmonizing for gospel group.
Yeah,
and they went all over the world, singing gospel. And so when I was a little kid, from day one, I was just always surrounded by music. I have 2 younger brothers who were very talented, and so all the gospel groups used to just stop by the house,
Wonderful.
Like everybody into the original, I think the Blind Boys now of, but shoot, we met all them when we were little kids. Met Sam Cooke when he was with the Soul Stirrers, and met the Dixon Hummingbirds. I mean, this was just normal. So they all, come through the house every now and then. So we were always surrounded by music. And then, of course, you start with the gospel, and then what you call, back then we called it doo-wop, get out there and you be singing with their little quartets. And
wonderful.
But my two younger brothers had that beautiful voice like my father. He has a very beautiful tenor voice.
Wonderful.
But I don't think I could do a sing bass. But it was always fun. And then when I was in high school, I was over someone's house one night, and they were playing jazz records, and I heard Charlie Parker. I said, "What in the world is that? Now, who is that?" They said, "Man, that's Charlie Parker. That's Bird." And Klaus, I mean, he sounded so beautiful and doing all this improvisation. I said, "Oh shit, that's what I want to want to do," and just kept on from that. And then, plus, I was in the States. In the U.S., we have, from elementary school, high school, and college, we have what you call marching bands. I don't know if y'all seen the movie Drumline.
I certainly know about the marching bands. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing in the States. Most all your musicians that come out of these marching bands. Eventually, then they go into playing, become different types of music. So I played tuba because, everybody had too many trumpet players and tenor players, saxophone players. So, I was just in music. I just wanted to be in everything music.
Wonderful.
And just kept going.
So was the tuba your first instrument, Lonnie? Was that the first instrument that you learned, or? No,
it was always the piano because my father had a piano in the house.
Yes.
So my father sang, but he played 4-string guitar when I was in 4, and he had the piano. He was self-taught playing the piano, but if we showed interest, then he said, "Okay, well, y'all can start taking lessons." So the piano was the main thing there. So I just started, you start messing around with it, and you start taking lessons, and then you eventually, when you get into jazz, you discover people like Art Tatum, Fats Waller,
wow,
Oscar Peterson, Earl Gardner. I mean, then Bud Powell. I mean, so then you hear all these things, and you just try to get on the piano and try to find your own sound and your own style.
Wow, some serious names there, Lonnie. That's, I mean, wow. I mean, you talk about these jazz greats, and to me, they're idols. They're just jazz music icons. Like yourself. Unbelievable.
That's because that's what I'm saying. I'm just, like you said before, I want to just keep on extending it and be true to the creative music.
Wonderful. So can you remember, Lonnie, what your first ever public performance was?
I know when we was in high school that we started a band called the Metronome All Stars.
Wonderful.
And because I think the guy named it after, I think that's what Billy Eckstine called his band. People don't realize Billy Eckstine had a tremendous big band, and so we started playing for dances and things like that. And I think it was trombone, trumpet, and tenor, and piano, bass, and drum. And so we did all that in high school, and so that was, I can't remember the shows per se, but it was always dances, and you start off, and you start playing up the popular songs, and you just keep going from there.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah, wow. So, you've named quite a few artists. I mean, these, I'm assuming, were your kind of childhood idols, if you like. I mean, these jazz greats that you name. I mean, was that the source of your inspiration, or did you look at other genres and obviously gospel as well? I mean, what was the thing there?
Well, I guess of course we just Because, we all, that's another big thing. The church, because most of the train, everybody came out of the church. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because your parents, which is good.
Yeah.
You say you got to go to church when you're young. And so all you great singers, Mahalia Jackson, even Aretha. So, so you go to church and then you start with that, and then you do the gospel. And then, I was listening to everything, because the blues, how you going to, the real blues guys are really serious. Muddy Water, Howling Wolf, all those, and the guitar they always talk about at the Crossroads. I forget his name, but we used to listen to him, Lead Belly.
Yeah.
And that's why one day, I really want to meet. Listen, you got two guys over there in London. They play rock though, but they into blues.
Yeah.
Because I wrote this song, Astral Traveling, but it's really a 21st century 12-bar blues.
Sounds
and
amazing.
I want to see if they can relate to it. What Keith Richards is one of them, and what's the other guy that did I Shot the Sheriff? What was his name? He plays guitar. He's one of the biggest over there in the UK.
I'm just trying to think now.
Yeah, okay, I forget, but anyway, I want them to listen to this because the UK is really supposed to be can have a lot of people really into the blues. But then, then I, like I said, I discovered all these great pianists.
It was Eric Clapton. Is that?
That's it, Eric Clapton. I want to meet Eric Clapton. I want to play it for him and see if they can relate to this 12-bar blues. Cosmic 12-bar blues I wrote, and because I started with the same Muddy Waters and all those people, and Lead Belly and everybody, but then I listened to all that, and then I discovered started listening to John Coltrane, Miles Davis. Of course, you're always going to start with Louis Armstrong, and so it's you listen to all that. Then in school, one of my teachers introduced me to something when I was in college, because it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But once they introduced me to people like W.C. and Ravel, man, I really got inspired. I said, oh, okay, then I can really relate to this, and then discovered people like Monet. I fell in love with him as an artist and painter, and so it's then I started talking. People don't realize sound and color they're really related to each other.
Wow, yeah, that's great, and so the blues thing that you want to bring to Eric Clapton, I mean that's already written. Have you, the songs already?
Oh yeah, Astral Traveling. I mean, if people that they in the UK, I know they really love history. They should go buy a record by Pharoah Sanders called Thimby.
Yes.
And we were in the studio doing this record in California, and all before that I always played the grand piano.
Yes.
But when I was in the studio that day, everybody was setting up their horns, or Cecil McBee was setting up his bass, the drummer setting up the drums. So a grand piano, I don't have to set up anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the keyboard in the corner. So I asked the engineer, I said, "What is that?" He said, "That's a Fender Rhodes." I said, "Wow, I never played it." So I walked over, started messing with the knobs and everything, and Cross, this song just came to me. And Pharaoh, the engineer, everybody ran over and said, "Man, what is that?" I said, "I'm just composing this song." They said, "We got to record this right now." I said, "What are you going to call it?" So I was studying astral projection. I said, "Well, sound like we floating through space. Let's call it Astral Traveling." And we did it. And that was the first time I played the Fender Rhodes electric piano, or touched it, and the rest is history.
Absolutely, and the Fender is it's an institution in itself. So many musicians mention it. When you're talking to them,
because it has its own different. Certain songs even sound better on it, because it has different color.
Yeah, yeah. There are bands that actually build everything around that instrument as well. There was one that we spoke to recently that the whole concept is based on the sound that comes out of the Fender Rose.
That's it. You right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Wow. And to speak to Lonnie Liston Smith about that as well, for me, that is absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for that. I was just wondering if, and I know this is not the right question to ask any artist, but if you could pick 3 tunes of your own that you favour and love yourself more than your top 3, if you like, what would they be, Lonnie?
Oh yeah, well, of course, Expansions. I mean that because that started everything, for a solo career. And I mean, Quiet Moments. That's real smooth and laid back. And then of course, well, Give People a Chance because I mean. Seem like we just they still haven't got the message. But the song that really surprised me and has really blown my mind away is a song called "A Garden of Peace." Because I was in the studio, and the record companies can drive me crazy. This was back in the day. They were saying, "Oh, we want a hit." So I was just sitting in there, and I said, "I'm gonna play something beautiful." And I was talking, So I wrote this song right there, and I used the Fender Rose. Then I overdubbed I overdubbed the grand piano, so they're both together, and just me and the 2 keyboards, and of course, we all need a garden of peace, because sometimes life gets so chaotic, so we need a garden of peace to go into, and and just find some peace and everything. And then years later, all these young kids have discovered it. And they really love it. I talk to them, and because young kids, they want everything with a heavy beat and all that, but they just say, man, it's a beautiful song. And now Jay-Z done sampled it, and Dead Presidents, Mary J. Blige sampled it, and Take Me As I Am, and won a Grammy with it. Young Jeezy and Neo, they did it, and Leave You Alone, and a whole bunch of other people are just sampling it, and I mean, I'm really happy because the song is just electric piano and acoustic, and I just wrote it for the beautiful effect.
Wonderful.
And the young people, they love it.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of crossover through sampling into sort of the hip hop and R&B kind of scene. I love the way that you embrace that, because a lot of artists perhaps wouldn't kind of see that the way that you do, if you see what I mean.
Oh no, but they don't realize the young kids. It doesn't matter how they get there, but the young kids, when you talk to them, they're discovering jazz through the samples.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
they say, well, we hear it in the background. They say, wow, we like that. Then they got to go out and do research of, well, who is that? What song? What's the original song? And because over here now we don't have as much radio as we used to, and all that. So the kids are discovering, jazz and artists like myself and other artists through these samples. So it's at least it's working in a positive way.
Absolutely right. I mean, they're getting it in their mind that this music is from back in time somewhat. So they're investigating the origins of the samples that they're listening, because obviously. The inquisitiveness of the mind takes people back there, and when they discover the roots of it back in the jazz, I mean, you see another level, and that's just wonderful. To watch that discovery in the younger generation is fantastic.
That's it. That's the best way to look at it. Like you said, to watch that discovery, and then they really. And they really get into it.
Yeah, because it's wonderful when you see youngsters discover that music actually is played on instruments, because I'm sure they don't actually know that from the modern music that they listen to, and it's only really the kids at school that follow music, especially in the UK, that have an appreciation for the instruments, and the kids that don't, that perhaps do the more academic subjects or whatever, that didn't follow the musical path like I did, they kind of just sort of have to discover it later, if you know what I mean. And
that's a good point, because I mean, from traveling to different countries, the young kids that come out, and maybe their parents took them to the show, or they just happen to be there, and they'll say, "Wow, we really enjoyed it." But what really shocks me, they say, "This is the first time we've seen live musicians. They so used to DJs."
Well,
and which is good too. But then they say, "But this is the first time we've seen live musicians," and they say, "Wow, this is nice." But I just take it for granted, because that's all we did was be around live musicians.
Absolutely, Lonnie, and I mean, I've been a DJ pretty much all my life, and but I still love to go and watch live music.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a dynamicness and a special feeling that comes out of live music. That, I mean, good DJs are good DJs. I don't take anything away from a good DJ, because I'm one myself. But at the end of the day, going and listening to people creating music on instruments, talented musicians, their instrument is an extension of them.
That's it. That's what people don't realize is because I know, because I tell some young guys that play the piano, they look at you like you're crazy, but I say, man, you got to learn how to breathe through your fingers, because the instrument is just like you say. It is an extension of you. I mean, that's you, and I mean that's what it's supposed to be. But a lot of people play instruments, and I tell them, say, notes are not music. They're just playing notes, but your inner being, your heart, your soul, and everything is supposed to be in each one of those notes.
Absolutely. When your inner being is feeling that music,
that's it.
That's
right.
That's where, in my mind, that's where the blue note comes from. That's
okay. That's
the essence of it. Yeah, that's the essence of it, isn't it?
That's it. You're right. That's right.
I stand down, from the stage, and I look at a bass guitarist. Now I play bass guitar, and I play notes on a bass. I'm no brilliant bass guitarist. I used to be better than I am. I used to play when I was younger, but I look at bass guitarists now. And you look at some of them, and the bass guitar is as much part of them as their arms are.
That's it.
And wow, Lonnie, I never believed that I would be sharing this kind of conversation with you, and I'm loving it. It's fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, well, I like when you threw that blue note in. I said,
Well, that's something that you have to feel inside,
Right, that's it.
It comes from in there somewhere. And, when you love music like we do, when the love of music is your life.
That's it. Okay, well, that's that's why I still do it. I mean, man, you can't stop.
No, that's right. And more specifically, why should you stop? I mean, if it's there.
Okay.
Then people say, well, you say to me, well, you're way too old to be a DJ now. What do you want to be doing that for? And I say, no, actually, do you know what? It's me. That's who I am.
I'm right. That's it. You're right, Clarence. That's it. Shoot.
Yeah, and carry on and keep doing, because when we come and see Lonnie Liston Smith, what an amazing night! Absolutely fantastic, and
All right, well, okay, brother. But I definitely gonna keep it going.
Yeah, well, it's got to be done, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing your favourite tunes with us. That's or some big ones of yours with us. That's lovely. And I agree. A Garden Piece. I mean, it's a must. as much as Never Too Late or
Oh yeah. Oh
Chance of
right. Oh
Peace.
yeah. Because it's so many. That's what I'm saying. And
yeah.
you just be doing it. So a lot of times the artist might even just take it for granted because you just in the moment. So yeah.
All wonderful creations
Yeah.
and really great. Okay, so what are you working on at the moment, Lonnie? That's one question I wanted to ask you.
Oh, yeah. Well, right now, because I have a lot of songs. I even have a new sort of like a new arrangement of Garden of Peace. Well, because everybody kept saying, "Why don't you add some kind of rhythm to it?" And it just came to me.
Wonderful.
So I guess as soon as I find some time, because that's one thing. When I used to live in New York or places like London, it's finding studios, recording studios, is like they almost got one on in every block.
Yeah.
But in Virginia, Richmond, it's not like that. But as soon as I get a chance, I'll find the right place and lay down maybe some tracks. Because it seems like they're saying everything now is being sold on the internet.
That's right. Yeah.
But most of all your record stores have disappeared.
Well, that's right, Lonnie. The record stores don't exist, but there's still a market really for CDs and even vinyl. It's not. It's got kind of a bit of a renaissance. It's kind of coming back a bit. People are realizing it's so much better to actually buy something that you can hold.
Yeah.
And says who the instrumentalists are and who the artists are and who wrote what and played which. And, you don't get that with a download. You don't get any artwork. You just...
Oh, that's it.
You might as well just buy a Word document. It's...
Oh, man. Hey, Klaus, if people... That was it, because I wanted the album cover to be... Like, when you look at the album cover, that was like part of the music you were going to hear.
Absolutely.
And people, oh man, I got to find the right people because at least I bought all the original covers from the artists that painted them.
Yes.
But if they ever saw the original cover of Expansions, oh man, it would blow some collector away because the original cover of Expansions, there's some things on there that the record company didn't put on the cover that's on the Expansions because they say they say, oh, that might be too much, but the cover's beautiful though.
I bet it's absolutely gorgeous, and that was put together by an artist for you, was it, Lonnie?
Oh yeah, that was the first. I got to look up his name because I don't have I got to look up finally find the vinyl copy of Expansion.
Yes,
and it's on the vinyl cover. The artist he did Expansions, he did Visions, Renaissance. So he would listen to the music, then he would do the covers, and it worked.
Well, they were very beautiful covers. I mean, it's it has to be said. I mean, just looking now at the actual Expansions cover that was published, which you said didn't end up actually being there. I mean, these are all very nicely put together pieces of art.
Yeah.
And that was part of buying the tune, wasn't it? And you could see who played bass and who played the drums and so on. People want to know that.
It was just like you were saying. I hadn't even thought about it, but when you download, you don't get nothing. I mean, no cover, no liner notes on that. And I guess the kids just don't realize that.
Yeah, and one slip of your computer, and you haven't got the song anymore either. So.
Oh boy! Oh shoot! That's okay. Okay.
So, it's not very sustainable, if you know what I mean. But people do back up, and I haven't got a problem with that. But it's not the same. The industry's changed immensely, and and it's wonderful to speak to people like yourself that have seen it through quite a few decades and talk about things the way they were and are still engaging with things the way they are. That's longevity.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for it.
That's like you said. Like you said, just keep on extending.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lonnie, the last thing I was going to say to you is if there's anything you'd like to say to our listeners here on Sound Fusion Radio, please feel free to say that, whatever you would like to say right now.
Oh, yeah, well, I was last year. I was in London. I was just going all over the place. Interviews here and the different companies and stations, and it seems like because back in the 70s, the UK was, oh man, they had great radio stations, everything.
Mm.
But it seems like now I feel a renaissance coming back.
Definitely.
To London and the UK. So, I hope I'm right, because I hope the people, just go ahead on, because at one time, oh man, everything was going through London. The music, the music, yes. Everything. So I feel like it's getting ready to happen again.
Definitely, I feel that too. And with stations like Sound Fusion, we're specialist in the sort of R&B, soul, reggae, funk genres.
Yeah.
We play all of those MOBO genres. And we've noticed, a great increase in the popularity and the interest of the public in the music. And we've also noticed at our gigs that there are some younger people getting involved as well now, that actually don't remember the music the first time round because they can't possibly, because they're too young. And yet they're still loving it and getting involved and dancing and learning the ways that soul people dance, and
that's it.
And that's wonderful to see, that is very, very good to see. And it's sort of indicative, I think, of what you say, that that there's a new wave of energy around the sort of music that you do.
That's a good way of putting it, because that's okay. That's what I said. I thought that new wave of energy. I said, wow, I'm it's like like that. I call. I said, damn, I'm getting this old feeling again.
Wonderful.
So I want that, because London and the UK. That's shoot. I used to come. Oh, Klaus, I used to come over there and perform, and sometimes I stay for a week. And
Wonderful.
Be shopping. I'd be doing too much shopping, really. So I want to come back and start hanging out in London again.
It sounds great to us, Lonnie. And if you come back and hang out in London, come and find me and I'll come and hang out with you. How about that?
Oh, okay then. All right, Klaus.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time on this Friday. Absolutely loved talking to you. And
all right, brother.
It's been absolutely wonderful. And you have an absolutely blessed and beautiful rest of your day and weekend.
You too then. All right.
And we'll see you in London real soon. And thank you for your time.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Klaus.
You take care.
All right, brother.
Cheers. Now. Thanks, Lonnie. Cheers.
Okay.
Bye-bye.